Welcome to the Common Man Football Show. My name is James Coburn, and today's episode we're going to talk about J.J. Watt. J.J. Watt, of course, one of the best, at least over the last 4 years, has been one of the best, if not the best, interior defensive lineman in the NFL for a while. There's been lots of talk about, maybe not lots of talk, but just a general sense from his draft class that people always throw J.J. Watt as like, oh, the NFL is a crapshoot. Nobody can really predict anything. They let J.J. Watt fall to, like he wasn't a top 5 overall selection that year. He was, he wasn't even a top 10 selection. And people point to that and go, see, the NFL, even they can't really get things right. But based on paper, J.J. Watt was a freak in every sort of way. And that's the big reason I want to do this video, is to show you, this is what an elite defensive tackle looks like. Not only because of hindsight, because he was really productive in the NFL, but J.J. Watt is one of the foundational pieces to the work that I do. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to look at how the really successful defensive tackles performed in college, what their athleticism data was coming out, in order to try to predict or try to figure out who's going to be the next guy, who's going to be the next J.J. Watt, who's going to be the next best player in terms of defensive tackles for the most part. And J.J. Watt is definitely a guy that, to me, is just a freak prospect on paper. It's one of the freakier prospects across the board, and I really wanted to highlight him, really wanted to give him some love and give him some light, and also look at his NFL production as well, just to kind of back up the stuff that I'm saying as well. J.J. Watt, despite the fact of him not being a top 10 selection or a top 5 selection, he should have been. And it was very clear on paper, based on data, that he should have been. But yeah, we're going to get into all those sort of reasons. So a lot of the terms I'm going to talk about, I'm going to leave in the description. So terms and definitions, if you're not familiar with any of the things that I'm going to be talking about, just go to the terms of to the description, and all that stuff will be there. And so if you're kind of confused about this stuff. So starting out with J.J. Watt in terms of his data, he had a 98.51 solo tackle market share production score, a 98.62 sack market share production score, and a 99.89 tackle for loss market share production score. I don't really know what else to say. He hit every single threshold in terms of all-pro potential, in terms of Pro Bowl potential, if not just going above and beyond the Call of Duty. When you have a 98.51 solo tackle market share score, a 98.62 sack market share score, and a 99.89 tackle for loss market share score, this is what eliteness looks like in terms of production data. This is what elite stuff looks like. And if you're going to say a guy's going to be the next J.J. Watt, if that ever happens in the future, he better look something like this. That's all I'm going to try to say. And then you get to his athleticism data, where he was a freak as well. He had a 94.32 explosive lower body strength score, a 88.12 speed score, and a 99.42 flexibility score. And when you look at the thresholds, just the bottom end thresholds, he hit every single bottom end threshold in terms of all-pro potential, in terms of Pro Bowl potential, and in terms of starter potential when it comes to his athleticism data. So not only did he have elite production data coming out of college, but he also had elite athleticism data coming out of college with elite flexibility, which again, flexibility deals with leverage, really. When you're talking about defensive tackles, it deals with leverage. It deals with your ability to out leverage your opponent, to drop your hips, maintain balance, all that stuff. Boom. On top of being freakishly explosive and freakishly fast for a man his size as well. So, I don't know who you want to go with, who you want to side with, but it was pretty clear based on paper that J.J. Watt was a rare defensive tackle prospect, and that he probably shouldn't have went as low as he went in that draft class. I'm just being honest, because if you look at everything on paper, from the production to the athleticism, this is what an elite prospect is supposed to look like on paper. And then you get to his NFL production, which is back that up from 2011 to 2015. Of course, 2016, he got injured. Didn't play a full season, but from 2011 to 2015, 90 plus percentile overall production across the board in terms of solo tackles, in terms of sacks, in terms of pass deflections, when it comes to interior defensive linemen. And not only that, the pass deflection mark, the SWAT, if you will, of J.J. Watt, that being able to knock down passes, incredibly disruptive player for all the seasons that he's played there. So, not only was he uber productive in terms of overall impact in college, but he was able to translate that to the NFL at a high level. I mean, this is elite level stuff we're talking about. 99 percentile, 99 percentile, 99 percentile in all these other categories in terms of his production at the NFL level. Like, this ain't college, this is the NFL, and he's able to produce at this level on top of his other athleticism gifts. So it's clear, it's super clear that J.J. Watt, coming out of college, looked like an elite prospect on paper. And he was able to turn into an elite prospect in the NFL. Now, is this always going to happen? No. Are there other variables to look at, like film? Absolutely. Like age data? Yeah. But still, I'm tired of hearing people say that the NFL, that the draft is a crapshoot, that you can't predict things, that you're just getting lucky with stuff. There's not a ton of luck involved with this. Like, this isn't, I'm not even doing complex math here even. I'm not doing a crazy algorithm, to come to these numbers. I'm just looking at basic facts on paper with a strong methodology to look at what past players did and performed as. And you can clearly see, what a rare prospect is. What a truly rare prospect is. A clear rare prospect. So I just wanted to get that out of the way because it was just something that's always bugged me about the draft, about how people look at it, how people look at data, how people look at statistics, how people look at all this stuff. Is that, sure, if you're just box score scouting, if you're just looking at stats on paper or doing anecdotal arguments where you go, well, let's cherry pick this one player and compare him to this other player, and look, they're similar. Like, sure, if you're doing that kind of stuff, I can understand how that should be frowned upon. But if you're taking a systemic approach, if you're getting all the production of every single defensive tackle, like I've done, and all the athleticism data from every single defensive tackle within that time span, and you're able to look at what the trends are and see where the thresholds are and see where the the range of possibilities exist for a guy becoming this type of player, then it should be easy to understand. It should be easy to get frustrated, I guess, with how the NFL approaches data, how the NFL approaches the draft when things are so clear in the data world. So I just wanted to get this out of the way, get J.J. Watt out of the way, because nobody really views him as a outlier or anything else like that, but I do think that the people need to understand that just because the NFL makes a mistake in evaluation, that doesn't mean that what I say or what I talk about is not true. Like, I'm just presenting facts here. You need to be productive. You need to be athletic. You need to have these other sort of traits. These are traits like anything else. These are traits like film traits are traits, and I think people really need to start respecting them because I'm just tired of this backlash against something that everybody should be doing. Everybody should be doing data. Everybody should be having data to back up what they see on film, to ask questions that film can answer. Like, everybody should be doing this, and it just amazing. And yeah, it's a lot of work, but it pays off, because if you were doing this data work, if you were doing this kind of stuff back when J.J. Watt was in that draft class, you would have seen what I'm talking about. You would have understood the standpoint of what I'm saying. And give me a little bit of credit about finding these trends. So again, my name is James Coburn. You can find my work at draftcoburn.wordpress.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at Geometrics. And if you like this content and you want more content like this, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Share this video as well if anybody that you know. And coming up, guys, is preseason data. I know what you're thinking. Preseason data? You're nuts, Jay. Yes, I am nuts. But we're going to have a little fun, right before the NFL season. Just get into some preseason data. Basically talk about what the trends are in terms of preseason data. Does it matter? All that kind of stuff. So we're going to get into a lot of different kind of stuff like that. We're going to cover loads of teams at the end of the preseason era, on top of other things as well. And then once the actual NFL season starts, it's going to be really exciting. Again, have a good rest of your week or weekend, if you will, and we'll talk to you guys then.